What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Marquee on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I will be your host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is the Streamin Demon himself, Jacob.
What's up, y'all?
And we've got Hayden once again.
Hello.
And today is our official review for Black Widow, the 24th entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if we're not counting the Disney Plus shows, if we're strictly focusing on the movies.
Yeah, it's finally here.
Yeah, after well over a decade of audiences demanding a solo Black Widow movie, and Ike Perlmutter being like, nah. For all the reasons that he is a blight on the history of Marvel Entertainment. But more on that later. For now, this movie, set between the events of Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War, is directed by Kate Shortland and written by Eric Pearson, with a story credit by Jack Schaefer and Ned Benson. And the film follows Natasha Romanoff, also known as the Black Widow, as she confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Pursued by a force that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history as a spy and the broken relationships left in her wake long before she became an Avenger. So before we get into our general thoughts, Hayden, I believe you have a story to share with the rest of the class.
Yes, so my experience seeing Black Widow was one of the most insane theatrical experiences I have had in my life, and
Oh boy.
I'm not exaggerating. So I was set to see Black Widow in 3D and 4DX at one of my local theaters. So when I go to the theater and I'm walking in, I noticed that they don't give us our 3D glasses, which I think is a little weird. The movie's about to start in like maybe 10 minutes. And so I think this is a little odd. And I go up to a staff member at the theater and his response is, "Oh, it's not in 3D." And so I'm like, okay, the website literally said it was, but maybe it was a typo or something, I guess. I don't know. Sure. Then the trailers start and they're looking extremely jittery. And I'm just like, okay, this is off. Something is off here. The movie starts and it turns out that, yes, the movie was in fact in 3D.
Oh,
and
no.
I was feeling like, at this point, like that staff member was like gaslighting me. So the screen was like blurry and we couldn't like really see what was going on. And let me just say, the sight of dozens of angry Marvel fans exiting the theater en masse to complain. Oh my God. Never seen anything like this. So like all of us like were just heading out like saying like, what's going on? So then we get our glasses. The 3D still does not work. And like, I'm assuming it was something like the left and right were switched, or there was some like disalignment with the two. And again, people all leave to complain. And so at this point, we're like maybe like 10 minutes into the film. And everybody's missing a bunch of stuff because, you know, the screen is blurry and people keep leaving. And we're kind of like hoping that they can maybe restart the film. So the film stops for a while. And then like the 3D was fixed when the movie starts up again and the film continued. By that point, it was like really clear that they weren't going to restart it. And the reason for that we learned was the 4DX was preset. So like all the moving seats and stuff, like it's preset, so they can't really do that because they didn't have a technician on staff that night.
Oh no.
So we asked for a refund, and they were like really understanding. I was trying not to be all Karen on them, and we bought tickets at another cinema because there was no way that I was going to have my first experience back in a Marvel movie for the first time in like it's been like 2 years since Far From Home. So yeah.
Wow, that was quite the experience.
Love story time with Hayden.
So I guess I'll just throw it back over to you then. Your general thoughts now that you actually successfully completed seeing the movie.
So I actually did really enjoy the movie. It was I'm not gonna lie, when I was getting into it, I was a little worried that it would be a little bit more dry than like past Marvel movies, and I was a little like, I don't know how I'll like specifically feel about this movie, but I was like engaged throughout and never like felt bored. So I was deeply entertained and very pleasantly surprised. I liked it honestly a lot more than I even expected to.
Nice. Jacob, what about you?
I was one of those people who thought that a Black Widow movie was a little too late, that it should have been done before Endgame, after Civil War. But, you know, this movie, it felt like it wouldn't have had as much of an impact if it came out before Endgame, personally. I thought that this was like, I see it as a nice eulogy for Black Widow, if you know what I mean. Like, it kind of reminds you why her death, like, it kind of, you know, it just kind of left a hole within the team. I think everyone can agree with that. Yeah, it was just a nice, like, it was a very intimate family drama, which I was really impressed by. There were times where I actually did feel like I was watching an indie drama, and that's not surprising since Kate Shorthand apparently does have an experience with that sort of thing.
Yep. Before this
Shortland.
movie,
I'm sorry, Kate Shortland.
Yeah. Before this, she directed the movies like Lore and Berlin Syndrome, and there's one others that she directed.
Somersault.
That's the one. But yeah, I think we're all kind of in agreement that this movie is far better than like this movie is much better than I think anyone was even expecting. I know there are some people who are more mixed on it than the others, but personally, I was into this from start to finish. I don't know where I would rank it in like the whole, like, in the grand scheme of the MCU. I vaguely put it in like the top third, if that like.
I honestly agree. I was thinking the same, and I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, I go so far as to say it's probably the best standalone MCU movie since Black Panther.
Yeah.
I think it's better than Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Spider-Man Far From Home, if you want to know what I mean by that.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I also think that this movie probably works better on a rewatch. As we're recording this, I've seen the movie twice, both times in Dolby, and both times both times I had like a really great time watching. Obviously, the Thursday screening was a little bit more packed because like that was like all of the Marvel fanboys and fangirls crowding the theaters because this is the first time we've been together in 2 years.
Yeah, Marvel movie. That's like comic book fan mecca.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I actually saw this movie twice too. I saw it in the theater on Thursday, and immediately the morning after, I watched it on Disney Plus. I paid just because I just love that surreal factor of seeing a movie like in the theater and then immediately the next day in the comforts of my home. That's just that surreal factor that could never exist like 2 years ago. And I felt the same thing when I watched Wonder Woman 84 and Godzilla vs. Kong. You know, I just want to be aware of how different things are compared to what they were before the pandemic.
Yeah, it is surreal. We can talk a little bit more about the future of theatrical distribution later, but for now, so we all know that Scarlett Johansson is like the de facto main protagonist of this film, but I honestly think Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova is, honest to God, the co-lead of the film. Wouldn't you both agree?
Yeah,
I think this is definitely a vehicle for her character going forward.
it's a passing the torch movie.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I'm assuming that's going to be the same, like with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, now we know that, and also Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Sam is getting his own movie with Captain America 4. And I don't know what Love and Thunder is like. I don't know what will come after Love and Thunder. We just know that Jane Foster is the focus.
Yeah. And I think She-Hulk probably as well, the Disney Plus series.
So something really cool that I've noticed about Phase 4 so far is how they're really sort of leaning into themes of legacy, and I guess that even kind of started with Ant-Man towards the end of Phase 2, but just seeing like that theme coming up in live action comic book movies is, I don't know, it's just kind of special. Something that like even 10 years ago I never thought we'd actually get there, you know?
Yeah. That's something that you'd expect to happen like 10 more years from now. Like they would finally do a passing the torch sort of thing. Like when these actors have long past their prime, for instance.
Oh yeah.
And they haven't really passed their prime exactly. It's just that these actors, they just want to do other projects.
Which is totally understandable.
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't want to be typecasted.
Yeah, nobody wants to be stuck doing the same thing forever.
So let's just hope Robert Downey Jr. finds a better movie soon than Doolittle.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can only go up from there.
Yeah.
He really wanted to do Doolittle too. He really wanted to do that.
I feel so bad that movie ended up how it did, but I don't know. The more I think about it, the more depressed I get. But back to Black Widow. Aside from Florence Pugh, who are some of the other cast members that stood out to you?
Ray Winstone.
Didn't expect that so fast.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Winstone, he was an absolute bastard in this.
I will say, if he's not the most like interesting Marvel villain, he's certainly the most hateable because of what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Hayden, what about you?
Well, I'm always a fan of David Harbour, so yeah, I thought he was really great too. Very likable and funny, and all the things you want from David Harbour.
Yep. I think both Harbour and Rachel Weisz as Melina, they make a great the Americans style parents.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, can we talk about how great the opening sequence was?
Yeah.
Yes, that was so good. Chills. And I will say that even because I saw the end credits like in blurry 3D because everybody was like had no idea what was going on. Even that I was like getting chills just like looking at it.
Mm.
Even with all that was going on, I was still like completely like in awe of that scene.
Ever Anderson, the actress who played young Natasha, holy shit, was she good?
Right?
Yeah.
And I do believe that's Mila Djokovic's daughter.
Interesting. She's also Paul W.S.'s daughter, we should mention.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Actually, the opening, even like the first 5 minutes when they show like Natasha and Yelena, they're like walking upside down, just on their hands and feet, and something like that. It kind of felt like I was watching an indie drama, the way it was shot.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, it was one where like the Marvel stuff kind of sneaks up on you, and they're like, "Oh, we're watching a Marvel movie." Of course, yeah, I forgot.
Oh, I just remembered. I just saw this. Ever Anderson, who played young Black Widow, is going to be playing Wendy Darling in David Lowery's upcoming Peter Pan and Wendy.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, that's right. I saw that earlier and just kind of completely forgot about it. And speaking of Disney synergy, did anyone else notice that?
Yes.
That they were watching DuckTales.
What I did notice that took me out for a little bit was when at the beginning they were showing they were holding My Little Pony, and it was the completely wrong generation for 1995.
What generation was it?
They were showing that was Generation 4. That was definitely Twilight Sparkle.
Friendship is Magic?
Yep.
They were showing Friendship is Magic?
The little doll that young Elena had.
Oh, interesting.
Is definitely Twilight Sparkle, which we'll just like assume that was a reference to Miss Minutes. We'll just let's just go with that.
But wow.
Also, I want to bring up that in a row we had 2 prominent songs that were spoofed by Weird Al Yankovic.
What was the second one? Because I know the credits were to the
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
American Pie, which was
right.
The amazing
He did American
Saga
Pie,
Begins.
Weird Al?
Yeah, he did the Saga Begins, which is like retelling the story of Phantom Menace.
Interesting.
You'll know it once you listen to it.
Which I knew before the actual song.
Same.
So
I love that song, American Pie, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it's just a great moment that that Alexei and Yelena share later on.
Yeah, that's almost as good as his other song, Vincent.
Oh.
It goes, Starry, starry nights, flaming flowers that brightly blaze. You know that one?
Yeah, it's not as well known as American Pie, but it's still a good one.
Mm-hmm. I just love his voice, man.
Anything else from the opening that we have to talk about? Because this might be one of the strongest first acts in any of the at least I'll at least say like the past phase of Marvel films.
I gotta say, what? Like, apparently David Harbour was hanging on to that plane like wing as they're flying from Ohio to Cuba, and he held on to that the entire way.
That's impressive. Well,
yeah.
To be fair, he is technically a super soldier.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm sure he has the endurance to to hang on for as long as he can.
Also, apparently he based his performance on a combination of Ricky Gervais in The Office and Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Savages.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Let's see where even to go next. All right, yeah, I guess we'll talk about it now. Taskmaster.
Yeah, that's one of the more divisive decisions they made in this movie.
I'm putting it here right now. I thought it worked. Boom.
Me too.
I don't care what people say. It worked. It told the story that the movie was going for.
I'm sure that Kiona might have a somewhat different opinion.
I'll play devil's advocate because I think on the one hand, like narratively and thematically, yes, it's like they made the absolute right decision to use Taskmaster in this fashion. However, I think what they also could have done, the only way they could have done Taskmaster, as his like comic book accurate self, is if in this hypothetical, there would be no reference to the Red Room or any of that stuff. This would be like, I don't know, Thunderbolt Ross hires the Taskmaster to bring in Natasha because yada yada Sokovia Accords yada
Actually,
yada.
I disagree with that because that'd just be the Incredible Hulk again. When he used the Abomination, he used a super serum on Tim Roth to get Bruce Banner. So I think that would just be a repeat of that.
Yeah, that's fair, and that's why ultimately I think they made the right move with this story.
And who's to say they're not going to have like a more like accurate Taskmaster in a future film in the series?
Exactly.
They can always do that. They're doing a Mandarin again for Shang-Chi, so they can do it.
Plus, I believe this Taskmaster and the one from the comics don't even have the same last name. So you could technically say these are completely different characters, but still using the same alias.
Mm.
But that's par for the course with Marvel. There's always another way.
Yeah, it's like a compromise where, okay, we'll do like this version of the character that makes sense in the story, but we also want to get some fan service later.
Now, speaking of the Red Room, what did you think of like the way? What did you guys think of like all of the action scenes throughout this?
I mean, I think I have seen better in Marvel movies before, but I thought it did the job okay.
They weren't like the highlight for me, but they were perfectly serviceable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think actually that might be a strength for a Marvel movie where the action scenes aren't the parts that you remember the most.
I mean, that's kind of how it should be to some extent, because so far I still think some of the best action scenes come from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, because each action scene was basically like just a punctuation mark for whatever that scene was, and they tried to do that with this movie, and some of the hand-to-hand combat was actually really good, but not all of it. And I think they all kind of understand that the heart of this movie is the family dynamic, like the relationship that Natasha has with this fake family,
and how like they kind of discover that they can function as a family.
Yep.
Yeah, they talk about it did get into some tragic territory there, like when it turns out that they took Christmas and Thanksgiving and birthday photos on the same day on the same sets to basically like help with the illusion that they were a family.
Yeah, because weren't they only together for like 3 years?
Yeah.
So on a single day, they basically shot an entire album's worth of photos.
Yeah.
As you do.
Perfectly normal.
What about the humor in this movie? How about that?
The humor was at least 25% of the reason why this movie works as well as it does. And
Yeah.
most of that humor comes from David Harbour and Florence Pugh just being absolute balls of charisma.
Yeah. David Hart, like he was a better character with a dad bod than Fat Thor.
They're both very different, in my opinion. They're both. It's comparing different. It's apples and oranges. One is like a deeply like sad look at like depression and all that.
That's true.
And this is just someone who happens to have a dad bod, and it's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least Alexei has more body positivity.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, his fatness isn't like this huge reveal or anything like it was in Endgame. Although they do kind of make jokes at his expense, like when he's trying to fit into like the the Red Guardian suit.
And apparently that like that wasn't acting. That was him actually getting the suit on.
Yeah.
Also, Rachel Weisz was into it, so something for everybody.
Oh, speaking of the Winter Soldier, there's a great callback with the reveal of the plan that Melina and Natasha have. Do you remember like the face masks that
oh yeah
they bring that back for this movie, and I'll be honest, it kind of threw me for a loop. I was 50% not expecting that.
Yeah, it's because they didn't overdo it between those two movies.
Yeah, like people kind of forget that like the Winter Soldier was like 7 years ago, and that was the last time that we saw her use that technology.
So one of my thoughts is, I think people are taking the wrong villain, so to speak, because I mean, yes, Ray Winstone's character is obviously a horrible human being, but I think the true antagonist of the film is ultimately Natasha's past.
Yes.
And her coming to terms with that. And that's something that I noticed. That's a lot of people, I think, are missing the forest for the trees.
I think I can agree with that, because Dreykov is really just he's the external threat and the face of the Red Room, but what he's actually representing is Natasha's ledger, which as Alexei says is dripping with so much red.
Yeah.
And I think my point is, I think a lot of people, when they're saying, oh, this villain was so boring, I feel like a lot of them are kind of missing the bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to get that out.
No, I can agree with that. And
it's kind of like in the same way like Jeff Bridges in Iron Man. He wasn't the strong villain, but like he did kind of serve like a purpose. He was basically Tony's dark side.
I mean, I don't particularly love Iron Man the way that most people do, but I can at least concede to to that as like, you know, Jeff Bridges' role in that movie.
At least he did like have Jeff Bridges also had his fair share of memorable scenes. I thought,
including that one meme.
yeah.
You know, the best thing about the internet is that everyone has an opinion. The worst thing about the internet is that everyone
has an opinion.
Which kind of leads into the debacle that happens every time a movie like this hits digital. Of course, Twitter gonna Twitter, and one of the clips that they showed out of context, as you do, is like that final moment in like the big climax where Yelena's like, "This is fun," and then she blows up the tower.
Yeah.
And people are like complaining that, oh, the CGI looks so bad. They spent $200 million and it all looks whatever.
I don't honestly. I'm at a point where bad CGI is kind of hard for me to notice.
I just don't care. 2 reasons. One, you cannot judge a movie based on a 10-second clip in like 240p on your phone on Twitter.
Yeah.
And B, that scene just looks better in like on a big screen, and in the context of the third act, it didn't look any better or worse than any other third act in these Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add, Hayden?
Yeah, I genuinely am not really. Honestly really don't care about the CGI at this point. I care about the characters and the general story. The effects are kind of not really why I go to see these. They're nice when it's nice when they're amazing, sure, but it's kind of just secondary to me. So yeah, I really like could not like care less.
For a movie as small scale as this one, if they were great, then they wouldn't be noticeable, and if they're not noticeable,
right, then
people don't have anything to complain about.
Yeah, that's what kind of sucks about being an effects artist.
Yeah,
you only notice your effects if they're done shittily.
Yeah, I feel awful for people in VFX who still aren't unionized and aren't really getting the best treatment. On top of the internet being the internet, like you have to love what you do in order to endure that much abuse.
Yeah. I do actually have like one minor nitpick. It's not really an effects thing. This is just something very, very, it's very inconsequential. I noticed that the end credits were literally just like what they've been doing with Disney Plus Marvel shows. And that did take me out of the experience a little. I'm not gonna lie, because like I do like see like how they completely like just they did the thing where they make like the big bold credits like the beginning of the movie. But like just like seeing like the same exact font, like same exact formatting felt a little off to me.
I think that's not exclusive to the Disney Plus shows. That's kind of like their house style for all their credits.
Yeah,
but
this is it is definitely different from like the past Marvel movies, because like it didn't really scroll, it just kind of popped up and like it was formatted different, like the Disney Plus shows specifically were.
Oh, like it's formatted like like TV credits.
It looked a lot like the TV credits, and it kind of distracted me a little bit.
All right, I can kind of understand that.
It doesn't matter in the long run at all. It just
of course not.
Yeah.
It was just something that I was like, don't quite know how I feel about this, but it's not really like a main factor. It's just something I noticed.
You know, it could be worse. It could be the credits from the 5th Transformers movie. I forget. I even forget the name of it.
Last night.
Oh yeah, Transformers Last Night. If I remember correctly, those trailers were like probably either 30 seconds or a minute at most, and it did feel like
my god,
like TV credits. That's probably the worst example that I've seen. And for a movie like a Transformers movie, which would probably cost about $250 million, somewhere around there. For those big movies to have such short credits almost kind of feels insulting to everyone who worked on it.
Oh, it definitely is.
Like, I know people like to complain about the credits of Marvel movies, how they're like 10 plus minutes long, but look at the names and like look at all of the people who worked on this movie, and yeah, of course they're going to get credited.
If anything, long credits should make you appreciate the post-credit scene even more.
Exactly, which we should probably talk about, because so fun fact for those who don't know, most people have, we've met Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character, Miss Valentina. We met her for the first time in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, but her actual first appearance was supposed to be this post-credit scene. The scene in question does raise a few questions, like, what is she doing talking with Yelena? Have either the Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts already kind of formed? And then just when does this scene take place in comparison to Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I'm just gonna say one thing. I actually like it more here after having watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I agree, and I wonder if her appearance in Falcon and Winter Soldier was reshot because the the release schedule has shifted.
I wondered the same thing.
I mean, granted, a lot of that show was reshot because of COVID, so that could have just been one of the many reshoots.
Yeah. What I liked about it was with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you really didn't know where you stood with her. Like, you don't know what her real like allegiance is. And this, I think, made the post-credit scene like feel like even more of a gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it actually worked a lot better for the story and what they were trying to do.
It kind of shows you, like, yep, the TV shows are converging with the movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can actually work their way into like these bigger formats.
And since we've known for a while that that Florence Pugh is going to be in Hawkeye, this post-credit scene was a pretty perfect transition.
Yeah.
Now here's a question. Despite what her mission seems to be, do you think she'll actually be a villain in that series, or will she just like have a one episode cameo, kind of like Don Cheadle at the start of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I'm assuming, like, the fact that she has her own post-credit scene setting up, that kind of implies that she'll be a villain, which honestly, that just sounds so cliche. I'm not really looking forward to that.
Well, I don't think it's going to be just one episode cameo because that would make it feel kind of cheap. And I don't necessarily think that they would go like full villain with her either. Necessarily, I could be wrong, but she will at least be an obstacle.
I kind of think that that her relationship with Clint will be kind of similar to his relationship with Scarlet Witch in Age of Ultron, where like she was a little bit more antagonistic, but then Clint kind of gave her basically gave her like the motivational speech, and that set her on the right path.
It would be at least something along those lines, I think. I honestly don't think they would go full villain because
I mean, to the point where she's like the final battle, for instance.
But I will say that I wouldn't complain if she killed Hawkeye either, because I don't really care about Hawkeye, but that's another story altogether.
I like Hawkeye. I just don't love Jeremy Renner because reasons.
Yeah. I'm just for Haley Steinfeld. So
same.
So I think everybody's kind of just wanting to watch the series for reasons besides Jeremy Renner. So
it's kind of like this movie too. How like everyone was here for everyone went to this movie for every actor except for Scarlett Johansson.
Who honestly like isn't bad, but it's just like kind of gotten to a point where
she just called Joss Whedon a brilliant screenwriter.
And the reactions from Florence Pugh and Kevin Feige were great.
Well, to play devil's advocate, she's not wrong. Like, she was just saying that Joss Whedon's a good screenwriter, which I don't think many people would disagree with. Like,
it was just the fact that like she should have read The Room, and like
that's the thing.
Maybe don't like praise the person when like there's like a bunch of stuff on them right now.
I know. I'm not saying that Joss Whedon's a good person, because no, he's not. You guys do know where I'm coming from, yeah?
I understand.
I don't think anybody's necessarily disagreeing with what she's saying. It's just like she really should not have said it, especially not in the way she did.
Now's not the time to. I mean, like Roman Polanski's a good director, but no one should be praising him anymore.
He's directed some of my favorite movies, but I'm not going to just like say like randomly in a conversation, Roman Polanski is one of the best directors of all time. I'm not going to say that in the middle of an interview randomly when it's like not really prompted.
For those who don't know, at the time of this recording, Black Widow made 80 million domestic, which beat the record for biggest opening weekend since 2019, or since like post-pandemic era. And it made 60 million through Premier Access on Disney Plus. And to be clear, this is 60 million worldwide, which equates to about 2 million subscribers who purchased the Premier Access, which is honestly a small fraction of the total Disney Plus membership, but still 2 million households forking over $30 to watch this at home. That's not an insignificant number. And any thoughts on this milestone?
The big question is, like, how is this going to what precedent is this going to set for Disney? Because so far, Jungle Cruise is going to be their last one that they'll be releasing on Premier Access, and after that, they announced that Free Guy that Ryan Reynolds action comedy, and Shang-Chi, the next Marvel movie, they're going to be released in theaters exclusively, and there's going to be a 45-day window. So I think it may be too late for them to make those kind of changes to those two movies, but something tells me that they might start doing this in the future because with Disney Plus Premier Access is that unlike at the box office, they have 100% of the proceeds.
Yeah,
They have 100. I don't know. It's crazy to think about. Maybe COVID was just the perfect excuse for them. Maybe they were trying to find an excuse to do that on Disney Plus when they launched it back in November 2019, and I don't know. Maybe COVID was just the perfect excuse.
I forget where I read this, but Hayden, I think you might remember this too. A couple years ago, at one of the CinemaCons, all like the different studios were kind of like they were discussing this idea for like some sort of at-home service where you can pay like $50 to rent a new release that's in theaters and you can watch it at home.
I think I do remember this.
I can't remember what they called it, but that's what I think about whenever I think about Disney's Premier Access, or even like the premium video on demand movies that were starting to come out like at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, who'd have thought Trolls World Tour would be the movie to change cinema?
I know, right?
So, what do you think, Mike? What do you think the future holds? Then, what do you think this foretells and like Disney's future release schedule?
See, this is tough because even before Black Widow was announced to be like a day and date release, I remember like at least like as close as like 2 months before its release, Bob Chapek was like, "Nope, this movie's going to theaters." And then at kind of the last minute, he's like, "Hey, guess what? This is theaters and Disney Plus." So
he said, "Why not both?"
So
they did that previously with Raya and the Last Dragon. We gotta remember, and Cruella.
My point is, I don't think it's too late for Disney to at the last minute decide, oh yeah, by the way, I think we're gonna do Shang-Chi day and date again. Especially because it depends on where we are in terms of COVID, how the numbers are either rising, falling, all of that.
But the thing is, like, are they going to keep doing this after the virus is stamped out?
I think only time will tell.
Yeah, like this is only the first weekend of Black Widow's release. We probably won't get a definitive answer until, let's say, like 2 weeks later, when Black Widow's in its third weekend, and they can really take a look at how the movie has performed both digitally and at the box office. But as far as like the 45-day window, which I think Paramount was the first to introduce.
Yeah, they were.
I think 45 days is going to be the new standard. Before that it was 90 days, and then before Paramount kind of committed to the 45-day window, we talked about this last week. Universal, if a movie makes like, I think, what'd you say, less than 50 million within 3 weeks, then it would be available on premium on demand.
Yeah, for like within the first weekend.
Okay, then.
So F9, that's gonna stick around in theaters for a while.
Oh, of course, but like Universal aside, I think 45 days is going to become the new standard theatrical window.
I can imagine that some movies be an exception for that, like Avatar 2.
Oh yeah. Like there may be like exceptions based on like production budget, specific deals between studios or filmmakers. Any of those sort of variables, I can see.
They don't want another Christopher Nolan situation.
Yeah.
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah. I've come to the realization that making like predictions of how like the release schedule is going to be for studios, like how they're going to release movies. I realized that making predictions for that is just completely pointless because who the hell would have predicted that HBO Max you'd be able to watch Warner Bros.'s entire 2021 slate on that.
On the other hand, that's what kind of makes predictions like this fun, because we know deep down that nobody knows anything, but it's kind of fun to just speculate wildly. But I think we're starting to wind this episode down. Any final thoughts on Black Widow?
Black Widow, it's a worthy entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Welcome return for Scarlett Johansson and a good introduction to Florence Pugh. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good intimate drama. It's got a lot of heart to it. It's a good way to introduce Marvel. In the way in our changed time. So yeah, definitely go see it like you would any Marvel movie.
We missed you, Marvel.
The movies.
The movies.
Yeah, no, I think I had a great time overall with Black Widow. Never mind the fact that this was just the first time we've seen that big shiny red logo in 2 years. Like whether I watch this in theaters or at home on Disney Plus, I think it's still just a great blend of superhero espionage action meets an intimate family drama with some of the most surprising comedic beats, and for a Marvel movie, some of the darkest moments. One thing we haven't brought up yet was Natasha confronting Dreykov, and her letting him beat the shit out of her for.
Yeah,
I liked how it was a mental fight rather than a physical one that you're used to. It was
which culminates in her literally breaking her nose.
Mm-hmm. It was a battle of wits in the end, which I thought was really cool.
And I think ultimately this movie will hold up better on multiple viewings, as I'm sure some of us have already attested to. So next week we've got Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions. And then on the weekend of the 23rd, we've got Snake Eyes. And July 30th.
And we also have Old that weekend, too.
Oh, wow. July is packed. So on the 23rd is Snake Eyes and Old. On the 30th is Jungle Cruise and my most anticipated movie, The Green Knight.
1 year hence.
So yeah, that's what our July slate looks like, and I couldn't be more excited. But before we head out of here, Hayden, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at @TheHaydenWilder and on Instagram at Hayden Wilder.
And Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook and Twitter, Jacob Crable, KREHBIEL. I have my own Letterboxd account too, Streamin Demon, and I'm a part of the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. You can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also look for us on Podchaser. And coming soon, we have a Patreon account. Details to be determined. You can listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Marquee. Thank you guys for joining, and we will catch you guys later. Peace
До
out.
свидания.
Good night.